here in my studio with my dear friend and business colleague, Bernadette Georgie. Hi, Bernadette.
Hello, Irina. So nice to be here.
Please, Bernadette, introduce yourself first, and then we will start talking about our very interesting subject.
Sure. I'm Bernadette Georgie, and I own a Pilates and fitness studio in New Jersey. And I have a vast background in fitness. I started out as a ballerina and I taught aerobics, and then I found Pilates. Later, I invented the B-bounder, which is behind me. And everything to do with fitness, I've immersed myself in. I also had a production company, which made me better on camera. I did food styling and I styled models, not hair, their bodies. I did their clothing. And I think my mission, my overall theme has been to really uplift and empower women to see who they really are and not compare themselves and just be the best at who they are. And fitness is a good way that's a good way to get started, is to feel good about who you are in your body, take care of your health. And I found that that's a really good way to start to get centered and be good to you.
Very nice. And I'm very impressed. And I usually say, I'm so impressed. You second degree black belt. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
You know what? It was a really fun journey. I learned a lot about myself. It was probably one of the best things I ever did for myself was to stick to it. Just like a college degree, that 4 years just means you know how to stick to it. It took 5 years to get the first degree and then another two for the second. And it's a really, again, very empowering, uplifting. You're not comparing yourself to anybody else. It's just about you and those little goals to reach that mystical belt. So yeah, I loved it.
So don't be fooled with Bernadette's sweet appearance. She's very sweet. She's very gentle. I know that for sure. But don't mess with her.
She has a
That's for
badass
sure
side.
as well. And that's how it should be. As
Mhm.
women entrepreneurs, I do believe that first of all, our my podcast is all about success in business, but success in business cannot be full without our spiritual fulfillment. And that's why it's called business as your spiritual journey, because for women, I do believe for women especially, we do have to love what we do. And in order to do that, there is a crucial step to fulfill that,
I
desire.
100% agree. Yeah, I
Right.
100% agree. Even in my own clients, like I see that when they come in for Pilates, that's like the gateway drug, I call it, to like really embodying the spirit, the spirit side through the breath
Right.
and work that we
Right,
do.
because the traditional way of business, and I will always be comparing because that's what it is, no judgment, but it is. The old way, traditional business, it seems like it's more about bottom line, bottom line, bottom line, and success is defined only by the money. But actually, money is great. Nobody discards the money, but spiritual fulfillment is paramount, and it actually brings big success when you're spiritually aligned and spiritually fulfilled. So that's
Yeah.
why we're here. And the first step is a crucial step, and maybe it's even key to the gateway to success in business, monetary and spiritual fulfillment. And that's what we're going to talk today about. So let's start with something that we had to change with you from, and I was helping you to do that, so that's why I say we did it, from the traditional way of doing business into the business where your soul sings. Would you agree that your soul is singing
Yes,
as
yes,
you're
I would
working
I would
now?
say that. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So time has come for Bernadette to add. She decided. I'm just giving little history here. She decided to add another component to her existing business because she's the owner of Pilates studio, but she wanted to add the online component, right? As I
Right.
understand.
Hmm.
So let's start with the first step. So how did you start thinking about or doing something about adding online component?
P- I've always had a little bit of it because of my experience being on TV and just then reposting on Facebook and YouTube. But I never dove into it being another way to connect with other women. And I think my big thing for a lot of people in fitness was COVID because we were shut down. So it kind of forced me to take a look at how I was interacting with people. And I missed a little bit of that opportunity in the beginning because everybody was pivoting and I kept saying 2 weeks to flatten that curve, 2 weeks, and I kept hanging in there. So I was a little behind the eight ball thinking I was going to go back in person, missing originally the opportunity of another way to connect. And once I realized that it doesn't really matter the medium, how we connect, as long as we connect, then I really embraced it. So dreaming about other things and other ways to my mission to uplift and empower women. There's so many different ways instead of just my little box in my studio, doing
Right.
just
But
Pilates and
let's
fitness.
start with the one that is traditional way, because when we met long time ago, when we met, if you don't mind me sharing, the
Oh, not
first
at
thing you
all.
said, I'm the bull. I do the steps, I take actions, and I make it happen.
Yeah.
And you in fitness, and you definitely about the taking action. And from what we know, what I know about you, how much you've accomplished, how much you've done in your years of experience. Well, yeah, you the bull. And I didn't know what the bull, why are you talking about the bull? Because I always talk about the bull. Well, it turned out you're Taurus, right? And
Yeah.
you're the bull, Taurus, the bull,
You
who
can't
takes
see my horns, but they're there.
right, who takes action. And
Right.
so, how did you decide? What was your very first step? You decided to take action, and I'm talking about the pickleball, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, well, it was twofold. One, I was focused on the money, which um, that's a component of business, but it shouldn't have been the number one thing. So I thought about pickleball, one, because it's a trend. Two, a lot of people in fitness are making a lot of money out of it. And three, which really was the original motivator, was a lot of my clients were getting injured playing pickleball. So
And
when
these are all
yeah,
valid concerns and
right.
valid thinking about, and money is valid as well. And you
Yeah,
got
all
used
of
to it
them were
because,
valid, but what
yeah,
you helped me bring out is I could care less about pickleball. So my whole thing is when someone comes to me, for instance, I have football players, I have gymnasts, I have regular people that just want to feel good. So my passion is helping them. It doesn't matter about what sport they're doing, what activity where they're doing. So I tried to focus on pickleball, and pickleball is not my passion. So
so
while I
let's stay a
was
little bit on pickleball, because
sure,
I'm dissecting for
okay,
our listeners, because it's not just the story, it's actually teaching. I like teaching points in the story,
okay,
right? So people can follow in the steps. So the pickleball was just a choice that you thought, okay, this makes sense. It's a logical choice,
right,
and it's popular right now. It's big trend. It's trending, and it's natural for you because you know you're an expert, and it was just no brainer, so to speak, right?
yeah,
Even though it's full of brain, because that's a logical thing anyway. So you're
right,
thinking about it. But what you mentioned is crucial. You said you didn't care about pickleball per se. Yes, you do love people, and people really connect with you and love you, and that's why you have sustained success. But what you were planning to do is something that you really didn't care about. You wanted to do it out of duty and obligation. These are your words that you told me before. I'm just
hmm
guiding you here,
yeah, yeah,
repeating your own words. So it was duty and obligation. I have to do it. I have to have this business because I want to be online in addition to my studio. And this is the way I see it. And as Napoleon Hill said in his books, that we usually rely in traditional business, we rely on our own experience or experience of others. So it's logical, it's mental in this case, right? So you were relying on your experience. Make sense?
yes, 100%.
Right. And it made sense, and it was logical, and it was good. However, was your, let's be honest here, was your soul singing?
No, no, my soul sings when someone comes in and seeks what I have to give them, but it wasn't through pickleball. And
Right.
um and I think sometimes when it was a couple things, it was the easy road, it was like a no-brainer, like you said. And it was a way for me to quickly promote what I'm doing anyway, but it was kind of like taking a turn in the wrong, really the wrong direction,
And
you know?
you were, and I was watching you because we traveling the journey together, the business journey together. And so I've been watching you, and you were doing the steps. You were taking the steps. You started having
Yeah.
success because very quickly you found the ways what to do, how to do it.
Oh yeah.
You
Got on
were
every
marching
pickleball's
along.
Facebook page,
Yeah,
the whole bit. Yeah.
you were marching along and starting getting the traction already.
Right.
However, I squeak and squeak, and I said, heck no. And of course, I don't decide what's you in your life, obviously, right? But
Right.
I couldn't help myself, right? So what
Right.
did I say?
Well, you said first of all, you wanted to see if I was happy doing this. Like you wanted to see, is like you said, just ask me the question, is this making my soul sing? And people make my soul sing, but pickleball does not. And the effort that it would take to make this pickleball thing happen, you have to love what you're doing. You have to, it'll only go so far. And so for me, what you helped pull out of me was that you kept asking the question, is this excite you? Is this going to make me jump out of bed in the morning? And like I said, it's when somebody comes to me wanting to do the work, it doesn't matter what their activity is. I just picked pickleball and it was the wrong venue to, um, well, it wasn't giving me any gratification. I was just looking for a way to find people, in other
And
words.
it had the potential to become a heavy burden, and you were already feeling it, as I know, right?
Yeah,
Because heavy burden means I have this duty and responsibility. I have to do it because I want to be in business, I want to help, but this is the way, and I have to do it. That's the only way I know how, right?
right. Right.
Versus,
And I feel like that's the way that we're taught too.
oh,
Just
exactly.
put your nose down, keep grinding, keep grinding. And so you get this limited success and then you hit a wall. And you're
And
like,
that's why there is no fulfillment.
yeah,
Yes, you might have a big physical success, meaning the monetary success, but is there fulfillment? Because fulfillment does not depend on the money, how much money you make. Yes, you can be happy how much money you make, but you're not really spiritually fulfilled, and we're seeking it. And a lot of more and more people are waking up to this feeling, I don't want just money anymore. I want money, and I want my soul to sing. I want spiritual fulfillment. And so that was a dead end, I would say.
yeah, yeah. I could have kept pushing, but I'm at a place in my life where I don't want to do that anymore. And I think we all come to that at a certain time. And I think at the same time, I was spiritually I think that we are all on a journey, but your heart has to be ready. And I feel like my heart was finally ready to stop pushing. That's why when I said describe myself as a bull, think about what a bull does. They put their head down. They don't even see where they're going. Horns are out, not their eyes, not their heart. Their head's down and they charge. And that's how I've really conducted my entire life. So it was ironic that when we walked by that restaurant, look, there I am. And I took a picture of it. I should send it to you.
That was a
Of this
mural on the
bull.
wall.
Yeah, this humongous two-story mural of a bull. And I said, look at Irina, there's me. And it was so funny because we were just talking about it and it to kind of see it, there was one other time that I saw a bull that there was something inside of me. It's in the mall in Milan, the big Galleria, and there's a mosaic of a bull. And people stick their heel in a private part of the bull and spin around 3 times to make a wish. And I thought, how ironic that we're stomping on the most vulnerable part of the bull, right? And I think that while it's nice, it's strong, they're brave, blah, 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 but head down, horns out is not how I want to proceed. I want to be the bull. I want to be Ferdinand. I want to be under the tree smelling the flowers. I don't know if you know that story, but Ferdinand the bull, I like the way the story ends. He's sitting under
Well,
the
we
tree
want a
smelling
bull
the
to wake
flowers.
up in the morning and feel happy, joyful, and full of purpose. And
Yeah.
when you're in the grind and feeling that the business is a heavy burden, then there is no purpose even. There is no
And
purpose.
yeah, and because it wasn't my purpose, wasn't fun figuring out what the next step was.
Exactly.
Because business, no matter if you're passionate about it, it's your dream, it's still, you have to do the work, but is the work going to be a grind, like you said, or a heavy burden, or is it going to be excitement around figuring out the next thing? And
Right.
so the more that you and I spoke, I felt like, at this point in my life, like, why am I still going to want to go through life with my head down like that and just grinding, grinding, grinding? And not that what I've been doing isn't fulfilling. It's just that it's the grind part. And the online component was supposed to take me out of that, and it didn't. It added another have to.
Right.
So
And
I'm very appreciative of that awakening. And I don't think I would have awakened to that had I not gone through that experience.
right. Right.
Yeah.
And on the mural, it said, "All hail to the bull," because that's what traditional business is all about. All hail to the bull. Take
Well, they even
actions and don't
think about
worry
it,
about
even,
anything else.
yeah, I mean, even in the stock market, bull market, right? And Merrill Lynch, what is it? The bull. And so the bull is a subliminal, like, just get to work, you
Just
know?
get to work, take
Yeah.
physical actions, and don't worry about fulfillment.
Yeah,
Right. So, okay,
absolutely.
we're making this framework, I guess, together right now for the listeners. So the first step is to ask yourself a question. Does it make you happy? Do you
Hmm.
feel joy? Do you feel that your soul is singing? Because it's very easy to find out whether you like it or you don't like it. It's pretty easy.
I found that, and I found too, asking the question made me uncomfortable, which right away I knew I was going in the wrong direction. I didn't even have to, the physical, as especially working with the body, physically asking myself the question as I was asking, I was like, no, I'm not going in the right direction. And it's nothing to
Right,
do with pickleball, right? I was not going in the right direction.
right. And
Yeah.
then there was a magical word. I ask you, I call it a magical word because that word sent you into the right direction. And since it was very easy with you, right? So the magic word was dream, right?
Hmm.
It's it's like you let yourself dream for the very first time in a long time. So can we
Very
talk
long
about
time.
it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what did we say? We said dream.
Yeah, you said, and I haven't thought about dreaming probably since I was a child and wanted to be a ballerina. And so I think I was conditioned very quickly in life that dreams are for dreamers. And if you want to be successful in anything you do, you better get to work. And that
Well,
to
the
cheat yourself.
bulls don't dream.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Yeah. So, so I felt like even at you asking me that question made me uncomfortable. So I knew from other spiritual, even yoga, like yoga, we tell everybody get comfortable being uncomfortable, like understand that that's part of the work. And so when you asked me to dream, I was like, ooh, do I even know how to do that anymore? Like I just, so, but I came to the conclusion quickly because I think I was ready for it. Having gone through everything that I've gone through to that moment, I was like, if I'm not going to dream now, what am I going to dream? What am I going to do this? So it expanded me to see what's possible. Instead of using all of my energy on pushing, 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 what if I just stop for a second and do what children do, close their eyes and think, use my imagination and feel what that feels like.
And what we decided, it's okay to dream because nobody's making you to do anything. Nobody's making you to make any changes. Just use your
Right.
pickleball right now, but do dream right now just for yourself and see what will happen.
Yeah.
And then you came back with results. You were dreaming and you were doing well. And what did I say next? Dream bigger.
Right.
Remember that? So
Yeah.
dream bigger. So
Yeah.
that's another teaching point. Allow yourself to dream, but then allow yourself to dream bigger because at this point, nobody's making you do anything. You
Yeah.
don't
And
need
don't
to
put
be
the dream in a
scared.
box. Like if you're going to dream and you're to use your imagination, don't just stop yourself. Let it go where it's going to go. Like follow that energy.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, when we start dreaming, we're not taking it out of nowhere because the dream has been always in your life. The dream has been there, the desire, right? The desire to fulfill, to create this particular dream. And basically, what we just what you've done was to allow yourself to look into that desire because that desire was in your heart for a very long time,
Hmm. A very long time.
a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. What was the desire?
So the desire, so before COVID, I was taking clients to Italy, and they weren't really retreats, but that wasn't my goal in the beginning, but that's what it turned into. We wound up going to a lot of sacred places, doing yoga, meditation, and Pilates, and all these beautiful places. So they wind up having a retreat feel to them. And what I realized I was creating was these experiences that were not touristy. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I wanted to show all of those experiences that my grandmothers would tell me about when I was a child. And I always had in my head that that's what I wanted to share. I wanted to experience it and then share it. So before COVID, I was going to Italy once or twice a year with clients, but I also was there teaching. So I got the experience that my grandmothers had spoken about, that, walking to the market and going to a wine tasting, or going to this little corner pizzeria where they had the most fabulous spaghetti, that those kinds of things that you don't get to see on a tour bus. And so when you and I started going through the dreaming process, that was the very first thing that welled up, was like, you need to go back to Italy. Remember, Italy was the first country that was shut down during COVID. So it was like this full circle moment of, now I'm fully out of COVID, I'm fully out of the grind, and now I'm going back to Italy. So for me, it was like this, it was the no-brainer that I was ignoring. And so before, it was somebody else's itinerary and I made it mine. Now I'm making it mine and making it the trip that I always wanted it to be. So I'm having a really fun time. It hasn't even taken off yet, but I'm having fun creating it. And I think that's the point,
So
and
you wake up in the morning with joy and purpose.
yeah, I do. Yeah.
Instead of before, you would wake up and say, "Oh, I need to go on Facebook and find people."
Yes, right. I need to go on Facebook and figure out what these pickleball players would respond to. And now I feel like I'm going to share this, and whoever this resonates with is going to find me. And not that I still don't have to do the work. I'm still in business. I still have to promote my business, but it's a different energy of, this is what I'm doing, as
It's the
opposed to,
energy. It's the energy of attraction versus versus what? Twisting your arm. Come here.
yeah, I'll tell you, in sport, it's always, in fact, that's how I found Pilates. I was an injured dancer. So it's almost as if you have to wait for them to have their final aha of, okay, I guess I'll try Pilates because there's nothing else. And that's what happens. You're looking for an answer because you're hurt. In this instance, you might be hurting a little bit emotionally or whatever you might be looking for in your retreat, but there's this sense of there's a different energy around this, that if somebody's seeking this, they're seeking it for a different reason. And it's giving me a different purpose, because when I'm teaching Pilates, they're coming for Pilates, and then I pepper in some spiritual things and maybe what I pick up they might need. I don't have to do that in this. I can be very open that this is a retreat about all of that, not just coming in and laying on my machine for an hour. So it's opened me up. You don't say this in business a lot, but it's the truth. It's like I get to lead with love now instead of leading with, how am I going to pay the rent? And I think that's been the biggest shift for me. I still have rent to pay, but I'm not focusing on paying the rent. I'm focusing on, how can I craft this idea into sharing it with others? And that's been a huge
Right.
shift for me.
It seems like it's a shift generally in business. I'm listening to you right now, and I'm thinking, the traditional business, it seems like more than I am running away from pain. I'm going away from pain. And here it's moving towards pleasure more, or joy.
Mhm.
Maybe
No,
not
you're
pleasure,
right,
but
because think
joy.
about it, we do that grind, the pain is not enough money, and we're always chasing it, chasing it, chasing it, whether you're in business or where you're looking, or you're looking to purchase something, the exchange is the same. But if you're leading with something different, you're going to get a different result. And I think that that has been the biggest thing for me, is shifting for just a different mindset, and a different way of thinking about business, not the have to, but the want to. And it's still business. You still have to do all the business things. It's just
Versus not
starting from a
survival
different
versus
place.
creation. Survival versus creation.
Right. And ironically, I come from an art background. But what's interesting about that too is my dad wanted to be a painter, but he was a commercial illustrator. So painters are painting for their own joy and their own pleasure. Commercial illustrator has somebody else telling them what to draw and how to draw it. And I found myself reflecting recently, wow, that's exactly where I am. Even in the Pilates world, I'm not really out there the way I would love to be because I have the bills to pay. So it's over here, the have to. So I've been reflecting a lot about that difference of even my family leaving Italy and coming here, but wanting to go back. So it's all these full circle moments. Once you open yourself up to those things, you can have both. You can have those things in business if you expand your mind and your heart to those things instead of just worrying about the grind.
If you allow yourself to dream, right?
Yeah,
If you allow yourself to dream and follow that dream. And then, so we've been progressing gradually with that. So it wasn't overnight change, right? It was
no.
you resisted a little bit at the
I
beginning.
resisted a lot because I felt like I said the business is over here and dreaming is over here.
Mhm.
And dreaming took this much, like a little like this, and
Mhm.
business all was all, and I didn't realize even though I was finished with COVID, I was still in that survival mode.
Right.
It didn't seem to ever end after that.
And so after you allow yourself to dream big, after you already uncovered, not discovered, but uncovered your desire that was buried very deeply for a very many years. So then the questions start about monetizing. And before we even go there, I also want to mention uh, the this is your mission. Do you feel like it's your mission? Because
I
you
do.
it's the something that you're destined to do. That's why the desire is there, because everybody is equipped with something that only they are supposed to do, right? Nobody else to do it or can do it for them, because that's why we're born for many reasons, but one of them is to serve. And we all have our special talents and abilities, and that's how we know inside the desire shows us the way. It's divine guidance, right? And
Mhm.
so, how does divine guidance shows in our way? I want to point at that. It prepares us with our. So we had to discuss. I had to explain it to you that you've been prepared for this mission. Yes, it took some time, but you were exactly always you exactly where you're supposed to be, but you've been prepared. So you
Yeah,
started with your grandmother already. So we're talking about credentials right now, right? What gives you the right to say, okay, I am the one who is the one to take people on that spiritual, I mean, Italian retreat, right? With
right.
spirituality, with physical, everything. And so, who am I to do it? What credentials do I have? And people would think, well, maybe I'm dreaming about being a ballerina. Well, I cannot be a ballerina, therefore, I'm not even dreaming about it, right? So, if you have that desire, therefore, you've been preparing for it and you have talents and abilities. So, let's talk about that. How were you prepared? So started with the grandmother, started with your cultural background, right? The ethnic
Yeah.
background.
Yeah, I was really so my dad's mother especially, I spent a lot of time with her when I was very small and they had only been here. They were going back and forth, but when I was small, they pretty much had their roots here in Philadelphia. And she would tell me these fantastic stories. And as a 4 or 5 year old child, I thought, oh, why did they leave this spectacular place? And she used to say, no lavoro, no mangia, no work and no food. And I used to say, Nonna, I'm going back one day. And they would laugh at me. Oh, you're so funny. But I really feel like that was a prophetic, like a proclamation, like I'm going back. I'm doing that.
So
And
here is the teaching. Sorry for interrupting, but
no,
here
it's
is the
okay.
teaching point, because we have to visit the childhood and see what is it that we were dreaming about. Yes, people can say, I dreamt about being a ice cream, right? Usually they say ice cream
Yeah,
seller or astronaut, but a lot of times we do know what we want because we still remember that desire inside of us. We came with it. We came with a contract. And
yeah.
so that was your declaration of what was to come in a later time when you're ready, right?
Yeah, yeah, it was. And throughout my life, I had really embraced my culture and the lavish dinners and all of those things and the different feast days and all of that. And it made me feel connected, but knowing I wanted to go. And it came, the first time that I got to go came in a very strange way. And so I was featured in a Pilates magazine, and I saw this little tiny, just like a little tiny, like those skinny little ads. And it said something about this place in Italy, and they were doing Pilates retreats, which no one's even ever done before. And I tucked it away, and I meant to email him. Well, he emailed me because he saw me in the same magazine. And he said, I don't know if this would line up with your schedule. And I had to get ready in 3 weeks. He said, we had an instructor that was supposed to come. She didn't realize it was Passover. It's also Easter. Do you think that you would be able to come? And I didn't even read any of that. I just heard, will you be able to come? And I said yes. My dad was not happy that I was missing Easter, but it was the most magical week because everything that my grandmother had described, I got to experience. Easter is magical in Italy because everyone celebrates it. The country shuts down. So we think everybody celebrates Christmas here or Easter. It's not the entire. So my grandmother used to pass her friends in the street. She's a Buona Pasqua. Everybody in the town did that, and I started to get this welled up and magical feeling that for her talking about it. So I started going to Italy 2, 3 times a year, teaching at these different places that had these little retreats. Um, so I had that little moment of feeling fulfilled, but I couldn't, I didn't think it was possible to do it the way I could do it. And it probably wasn't the way we can do it online now, because like, don't forget, this was the 90s and it was a little ad in a magazine. I don't even know if there are magazines anymore. So,
Exactly.
so it's funny how that it was like a thread. And that was like 40 years later that
It
I
was
was able
it
to
was a
experience that.
glimpse. First of all, it was a glimpse of green light flow, as I call it, because green light flow in business when you don't expect and it happens like somebody invisible is guiding you by the hand and leading you. So to me, that's
And
divine
it had nothing, and
intervention.
it had nothing to do with the bull, right? It was that, like you said, it was that flow. I didn't have to push anything. I didn't do it. They just tucked that. Oh, I'm going to write to that John because there wasn't even a phone number. I'd had to email him.
Yeah,
And,
that
and the fact that it was just like this synchronistic, I know more now than I did then.
that's why I call it a glimpse, because it wasn't norm for you at that time because you
Right.
still had to do the grind and all of that, but it was a glimpse already that it's possible. And
Yeah.
also I often have this, and I know it happens to me a lot. When I go someplace one time, I will always return. And I don't know when, I don't know why, I don't know how, but I do. And
Mm.
so you went there and now you're planning to return.
Yeah. Yeah. And I returned several times, but like I said, it was somebody else's trip and I was just so excited to go. And it was an excuse, right? Like I got paid to be there. It wasn't really my trip. I didn't care. And I always would find a couple hours to do what I wanted to do and explore. And I put that dream aside for many, many years. And well, I was supposed to return April 2020. And when everything shut down, I felt like I closed the door to that dream.
Right,
And I
right.
never dreamed about doing it on my own because it was an invitation to go there to teach again. It wasn't on my terms. It was an invitation to go. So this whole thing of coming full circle and taking charge of it really and being responsible, like I'm doing this now. I'm not going to wait for an invitation. I'm going to wait for, like you said, the green light flow. I'm not pushing, but at the same time, this is my intention. This is what my heart wants. So there's really a big difference in that shift.
Right. And there is another one that gives you credibility because I want to show to our listeners that there is more. There is the whole life you being prepared for that dream, for that
Oh, I
vision, right?
absolutely think so. Yeah.
And so you said to me that you've been called Italian Martha Stewart.
Yes, I have. And what's funny is that I really, and I heard this, you've said this and other teachers, even just business teachers have said this, is that, everything's preparing you for this moment. And so in my production company, I was setting tables, I was decorating, it's called, fashion styling or food styling, where you definitely couldn't eat the food that we prepared for photography. But the point is that I loved all of that. And I watched my grandmothers do that. Like they made everything art. They made everything from hanging curtains to making the bed. They were wonderful homemakers. And then, of course, we had the Italian spin to it. And that's why all my girlfriends would call me the Italian Martha Stewart. But that's what I get to share when we go. We're doing cooking lessons, and not just the lesson of cooking, but the Italians know how to make that a ritual of love. They go to the market almost every day to pick out the finest ingredients. The walk is almost like a meditation because they know who they're going to see. And then they go home and they prepare it, and it's their love language. And I feel like women have lost that because we have so much on our plate that it's a have to, not a joyous thing to do. And you don't have to do it every night. I mean, a lot of people don't have that time, but to know that you can, or maybe set aside Sunday to do that. And so the part of the trips are, it's not just a trip to retreat, but take those treats that you've gotten in Italy and bring them home. And maybe once a month do a family dinner or try a new recipe, and understand that that's another way of opening up. And I don't know if I would have been able to add that layer had between my culture and then also working in the industry. I grew up in a restaurant. It was a very natural thing for me to then add this. I got to experience that in Italy, but it was a byproduct. Now I'm making it part of the trip. So those dreaming moments allowed me to do that.
So we already discussed the dreaming part, the allowing yourself to open up and uncover that desire. We've talked about that it is okay to make it business, not just some hobby that you might thought before that you could have one day and never
Right.
got to it. We also talked about your credentials because you've been preparing for it without knowing it, right? And then we started talking about monetizing because obviously we understand we can't just go and fly in the sky and dream and not make things happen. And so very quickly, when we started thinking, okay, how can you monetize it? How can you make it a viable business project? And immediately, what was born? The new brand. And
Mhm.
how quickly you created the new logo, which I was so impressed with. I was just impressed. I think we'll put your logo on our somewhere.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and it did not take a push. I maybe sat for 2 hours, and it was really just because I'm not technical. The vision of it was in my head, and the colors and everything was it probably would have taken less time had I known more technical things. But yeah, so it's Fit Italian and Fit Italian Travel. And I even like saying it, like it's a completely different energy that I don't even like saying pickleball. And it's funny too, because I love sports. I love being active, but this is a completely different shift. So the fit part is what we do on the trip, but then also preparing for the trip, because to really enjoy this type of a trip, it's not like you're in and out of a bus. We're doing a lot of walking. We are doing Pilates. We are doing yoga. We are doing a little, I don't want to say that physical, like mountain climbing, hiking, but there's going to be a lot of walking. And so you helped me figure out that I can put a fitness component leading up to the trip, so that people, and then we get to know each other. We're not strangers. It's not like you're just calling a travel agent and booking this very cool sounding trip. We're going to have like a bond before we even go, that we've worked out together. My cues when we do a yoga or a meditation practice.
And it's only women.
It's only women, and some women have brought, so the trips prior to this one coming up, some women brought their teenage or college age daughters, and that was a nice little thing. Most women travel with their friends. They'll want to bring a friend or two. So by all of us doing some things together before the trip, it's not like there's a group of two over here and a group of three over here. We become a cohesive group, which is really, really nice. And I think that, and it adds to the excitement. Well, we can't wait to meet each other in person too. So it's an
And
exciting component.
as you're saying, and of course, this is so exciting for me. I'm hearing all this and I'm visualizing what it
You're
could
in the
be
labor
like.
room with me. We're about to deliver the baby.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I've been already in that retreat and all, and took the program and everything.
Right.
Uh, First, I wanted to ask you, let's do the experiment right now. I want you to say it out loud, just for people to see what's it like, right? For listeners to do it for themselves. So let's say pickleball first and see how you react, how your body, and then you'll describe, and then say fit Italian travel, right? Can you say
Yeah.
it? So let's see how the body reacts.
So pickleball is just bland to me. I don't have a negative or a positive reaction. I just don't. It was a way for me to make money, and I'm not motivated by money. Um, Fit Italian and Fit Italian travel, it's almost like me saying I'm the Italian Martha Stewart, like when people would say that. And I would never make that a brand because it's someone's name, but I get that same feeling because I'm creating all the things that I love, and I told you, just when you asked me the question, I got a little uncomfortable, but then saying it and putting the first thing the logo made me feel like it was real. And when I put it there and I had a visual, because I'm a very visual person, I was like, this is it. And interestingly enough, my last logo for my studio, I didn't do it. The only thing I did was pick the color. I love green. And um, if there was a disconnect there. So even the process of creating the logo, I encourage everybody to just sketch something out. And if you're not good on Canva or whatever, then you can hire somebody. But the act of doing that even
Mhm.
was the next level of taking the dream and making it solid, like making it something tangible. Because online stuff isn't really that tangible until you like for us to take the trip. So that was a really great exercise for me. I'm going to make it real. So,
And then I started hearing your taking the bull by the horns or
mhm.
inviting the bull to participate. And you started taking very quick actions, right? You became a licensed travel agent immediately, very
Right.
quickly, and you've taken steps. So we've been watching you creating, and it's already this is done, that is done, everything is done, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's great. And all the things that when you and I met, we were learning some online business techniques, even the stuff that we learned. Had I not done that first, because I was thinking I was doing that for my online fitness component and my online presence, that too was preparing me. Even us meeting, like I look back and I say, I've always prayed and I've always um felt like I was spiritual, not just religious. I was really raised Catholic, but I always felt like I had this spiritual. I always talked to God throughout the day, but I've never waited to see his response. And that's been the biggest lesson here is that I stand here looking back and go, okay, so all the things that I just learned, it was not a waste. It was for this. Like I thought it was for the studio and I wasted that opportunity, but I don't think anything is a waste. Everything, like you said, brought me to this moment. And now I'm kind of like, it's like an awe of like, oh, wow, like I did that. Now that's why I know how to do that. And I can apply that to here. And it's just this nice, um, it makes it more fun. And it makes me wonder what's next to happen. There's
And
that.
you just took the question out, or well, the question out of my out of me, because that's what I wanted to say. Some people might say, well, if I allow myself to dream later in life when I'm already an expert. You've been an expert with 30 years of expertise and experience and knowledge and all of that, right? You spend a lot of efforts and money and everything for your previous path, and people will say, okay, what about that? I can't discard it. I don't want to
Well, and
discard it.
that's where I was. That's
How
where I
do I
was.
match it? but
Right.
then but then you created that program that precedes the travel, and so all your expertise goes in that part of the program, that part of Fit Italian Travel,
Right.
where your expertise is needed and important and shines, because how could you have this program preparing people for walks, and how can you lead the walks if you're not an expert as you've been?
Exactly. Yeah. And the travel agent part too, even that, like I didn't realize what I was doing was not really legal. When you take somebody on a trip, you're supposed to be certified. So even that, but then I got to learn a couple more things about booking these trips. So yeah, so it's been a very interesting how all the pieces of the puzzle, and I always tell you, like, I feel like all of my different credentials are like look like this puzzle piece that doesn't belong together. But as soon as I said fit Italian and fit Italian travel, I was like, oh, there it is.
Your whole
Then
life.
then it makes sense that I'm, we're doing like for instance, like one of the exercise things is about how to strengthen your quadriceps so you can enjoy the walk. You don't want to all of a sudden be doing these walks every day. And it's not vigorous. We're not like have leg weights and arm weights and that kind of a workout, but you want to not be thinking about that. You want to enjoy the surroundings. And I feel like, wow, like, so this is all bringing all those pieces together. Like I know what I want to share with someone when they do their pasta cooking classes and how to set the table and all these things. Like it's exciting to me that they're like I said to you before, that when someone reads my bio, it's like, oh, this girl she's all over the map. But now it's like that map.
Actually, not at all, not at all. All your
No,
credentials, no, I'm looking at your everything, and it's all, if you start analyzing everything you've done and everything, it was progression, first of all,
it
and
definitely
it
was.
all led to Rome.
Yeah,
Everything led to Rome.
it certainly did. Literally.
Literally, literally.
Yeah,
We live in America, you and I. We live in the United States, and I know that for United States people, exercise, I mean, walking is an exercise. I came from Soviet Union. We walked, we didn't drive. So I could not understand, what the heck are you talking about? Exercise, walking? What are you talking about? Well,
I
of course,
know.
now after 30 years in the country, I know exactly what you mean, because we want to park the closest to the store and not to walk at all. And
Well,
I'm
and
now
even,
the
even
same
my
way.
family, nobody had a car when they came here. They
Exactly.
literally walked everywhere. They had one of those little
Exactly.
metal carts.
Right.
They went to the market and they came home.
So for them, it's not an exercise. It's just
It was
normal way
daily
of
life.
life. But for
Mhm.
us, it is, because we're spoiled rotten, and I really love to be spoiled rotten like this. But that's where your credentials are. That's how
Yeah.
you make it
Yeah. And
official. You
it's
make it
exciting for me
real.
even to create like, okay, so like you just said, so if someone's not working out and they're intrigued by this trip, they'll enjoy it more knowing that they took a couple steps and also they'll feel better. So it's come full circle that I can take my credentials now and create something for day-to-day life, not just for the trip. So
Right.
people can stay with me and continue to work out with me with or without the trip. And
Right.
and that's exciting too. I hope they take the trip because that's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. But I feel like it's also introducing another way to just be, which is also
Right.
my tagline, right? To just
Right.
be.
And we're finishing soon, but I really want to bring the most important component, or maybe to just put it in a bowl together, all together, divine guidance and divine intervention, right? So what would you say? And I can help you with that, with my knowledge. How do you think divine intervened on your behalf, and instead of pickleball made you go in the right direction? Not made you, but directed you in the right way, that you became joyful and with purpose?
I think as soon as you said, um, does that make your heart sing? I believe that that was a message, not from you. And
Right.
I think that sometimes we are waiting for a thunderbolt or something dramatic. And I had already started changing my spiritual practices when we met. And I don't believe that that was an accident at all. Um, Even us walking by that mural of the bull, like all of that. I think that we are so, especially women, we have so many hats to wear that we don't take time to listen. Like I said, I've always prayed and talked to God all day long, but I'm doing the talking, I'm not doing the listening. It's a monologue, not a dialogue. And as soon as I realized that all I was doing the talking and not waiting for an answer or listening, when you said dream, that takes a moment of, you have to reflect for a minute. The pickleball thing, I know I could have made it successful. Like you said, I started to get some, but it wasn't exciting. It wasn't like, what am I doing? Like, if I'm going to work this hard, can it be for something I really want to do? And again, it wasn't about the pickleball thing. I still got to work with people, but it wasn't creating anything and it wasn't exciting to me. So I think that the most important thing is that pause. we all hear the, be still and all those things and breathe. But really, there's little messages in that. And when you said dream, I had to shut up. I had to, I had to wait and like
Correct.
listen and go inward a little bit. And I think everyone has that, but do we stop and do that?
Right.
Even think about organized religion. It's it's methodical. We know what's coming next. There's no reflective time of prayer, of meditation, of waiting for that answer. It's all us talking and not, and that's the bull, right? The bull's charging or sitting under the tree. You don't see them grazing. You don't, so for me, that was a pivotal thing for me, was when you said to dream. And it wasn't dreaming per se. It was like, you have to stop.
Right. And I want to point at one also point there, just for everybody again. Pay attention to whom you met, because in order for me to say to you dream and dream bigger and everything else I said, I had to show up in your life. And I'm not talking about per se about me per se, right? I'm talking about how we meet by chance, but it's not by chance at all. We've met and we connected instantly. We've met at a business venue and we connected instantly, and we've been benefiting each other tremendously, became good friends, and we just blessings for each other. And how interesting it is that when you started changing your spiritual practices, as you said, I showed up in your life. And again, please disclaimer, it's not about me per se, not my ego, but I showed up as a messenger from God without even knowing it, to give you that message when you were ready to receive it.
Yeah. And it was months after we met, probably almost a year. And so those conversations gave me a safe space, knowing that when you said certain things I needed to hear that were uncomfortable, that I didn't shut down. Like when I said, like when you said dream, or does that make your heart sing? It could have been, I could have gotten very defensive and said, well, I got to make money. And that's a valid thing to say, and I think that you're right. And I also think as women, we compare and we judge and we shoot the messenger a lot of times. And I don't think we mean to do it on a personal level. It's more of a subconscious. What does she know? I need to work. I need this. She doesn't know my story. And none of that really matters. What really matters is that you and I made a connection. And because I changed my spiritual practices and started to change my attitude and my mindset, I didn't get defensive. I thought, okay, do I need to hear this? Take a moment. So I think that that's the bigger overarching lesson, is that that's how God, divine source, whatever you want to say, talks to us. It's not the lightning bolt. I mean, sometimes I think life has lightning bolt
It could
moments.
be, but not
What,
always.
COVID was a definitely lightning bolt moment for me. My divorce, a lightning bolt moment for me. But they don't, if we had lightning bolts every day,
We
we,
would be
we wouldn't be able to
burned.
stand. So you were like little bolts of electricity, that I could handle. So, and it also gave me an appreciation for what you do in terms of coaching, because, as entrepreneurs and as women, a lot of times we have to go on this journey by ourselves. And this is the other thing that's taught me, when I was doing these trips and now doing them now, is that, collectively we can support each other. And your work is, you have to be ready to go that layer deeper. You could be like, let's say, successful attorney, but maybe you're an attorney because you have a legacy of attorneys. Maybe that's not what you really wanted to do. But like what you just said to me about preparing, maybe there's some other nugget in there, and you're going to use your law practice for the dream. Right. So I feel like I have a real appreciation now for spiritual mentors, for coaching, because even though we started out as friends, I get to benefit from my friend being a spiritual teacher and mentor, because, like you said, you can't help yourself, but that's also part of the friendship. Right. And I feel like, I think women shouldn't be reluctant to seek that out, because
Right.
you've really taught me that, once you're open, then all of a sudden you're going to get those messages. You're open, they're going to come in. So you have to now be in a position to receive. And you being a coach and a mentor, and really the highest level of teaching, is making us look in the mirror. That's your gift. and you say it with such clarity and such, you say it with love. Like, I've never felt like you're judging, and you always have this nice way of, "Do you mind if I say something?" And when you do that, it prepares me like, "Uh-oh.
Something unpleasant
Is it
is
gonna be a
coming.
lightning bolt coming to hit me?" But,
Electric shock.
zzz, zzz. But no, I want your audience to know that, besides the friendship, that there's, your your teachings, they ring true, and you're not, a lot of times I've listened, I'm big listen to podcasts, and a lot of times it feels like there's an agenda, and I don't ever feel that way with you. Like, you're truly trying to raise everyone's consciousness and raise our awareness of our own power, and that stop pushing the grind part, because everything else will come into full focus once you're open. Your eyes are open, your heart's open, your mind's open. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and thank you to you. I didn't expect all this, but that's
No, but
very
it's the
nice to
truth.
hear.
It's the truth, because we're not just talking as, business colleagues and friends. I've benefited because you've been so gracious giving me your gifts, and you don't have to, but I can really appreciate, you know, it's not a woo-woo thing when someone says, I need a spiritual teacher, or I need a guide, I need a mentor. That's real. Like, we're not meant to do this by ourselves. We're meant to collectively, and as women, we can really be powerful together. And I think as entrepreneurs, as moms, as wives, we feel like we're doing it alone a lot of the times. And that's not, it's not necessary. It makes the journey fun when you're doing it with someone.
Right, right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
And of course, I benefited from your guidance and direction and everything else on the business side. So we've been very good complement to each other, and
I
that's
agree.
what we need to foster between women,
Hmm.
uh, women entrepreneurs. I think at large, like you said.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for being such a wonderful guest. And we just created a framework for how you can switch from the looking at business as a heavy burden into something that it will be under divine guidance with in green light flow, as I call it, the one that when your soul sings and you do what you love, and the money, of course, will follow.